Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think I had to close the room. I was not able to move you from one room to another. You were still stuck in only one room. And so I think the movement is possible before we start the room. So now this is what it's like.
Oh, okay.
Couple of
So right
questions.
now it gives me some options to move people, but I think once I start the room, I cannot.
Maybe do you think we should do so the interesting thing was in the room when we were in the room, neither of us could share their screen. At least we could all access the chat.
Oh, you could access the chat?
Yep, the chat worked fine. Unfortunately, we couldn't share our screen.
Oh, you could share the screen. Okay.
So why don't we being mindful of the time and being why don't we do it similar to what we've done last time, where one of you shares their screens and effectively for the benefit of all of us walks us through what we're trying to do. Who would be willing to do that?
Sir, I'll do that. Piyush.
That is good. That's very brave of you.
Okay. So, sir, I downloaded this document, and then I installed Pandoc, and then went to the command prompt and tried executing the command that you asked us to execute.
Yep.
So first, when the by default it got downloaded in the downloads folder. So I have given this path here also, but I'm getting this error.
Show us what you're doing. Show us what you're doing on the command line. I'm sure we can all debug it together.
Okay. So my screen, my command prompt is visible?
No, I think you're sharing only the window. You might want to share the entire screen.
Okay. No, that was by mistake then. Just a second. Okay, desktop, screen 1, screen 2. Okay, yeah. So this is the command prompt where I was trying to execute.
That looks good.
I think it's saying that defaulting to input as the title. So that
So that means so what is let's analyze that for a bit. What is it doing there? Well, it tries to generate a title element, one of the structural elements that our wave or our evaluation tools have always complained about, that they're not there. So it tells us, well, there is no title element you supply me. In order for the document to be valid, accessibly valid, I just generate one. And which one do I take? Well, I'll just take the file name, which is not necessarily the best. But as you can see, and by all means, if you want to do that, just run the command again and use -- metadata title equals as it's being done there, and use some meaningful title. Yes. So if you now do just space -- metadata title equals. And no more complaints. The title is still not a lot more meaningful than before, but still, at least there's something there. All right, so let's have a look. Where's the document?
The output document?
Yes.
So I think by default it should be created in the same downloads folder. I'll just check it.
Are you sure it's not being created in that folder?
No, sir, I'm not sure. So
can you just run dir? Can you just run dir on in the? Yeah. If you did the dir command, dir, not dir, dir. Nope, it's not there. So if you just do dir on downloads, then you might see it there.
No, there it's there in output.html.
Is it? Oh, there it is. You're right. No, brilliant. Sorry, I'm It's very small for me. It's very inaccessible.
Yeah.
There it is. It's not very large, right? Yes. So now you want to load that file into your web browser.
Okay. So it's in Piyush, C users Piyush, okay. Yes.
Right. What can we observe?
Yeah.
We can, for instance, observe that it's clearly centered. So what Pandoc tries to do it tries to preserve as much structure as it had before, right? So in other words, it doesn't kind of free the content, but it tries to preserve the same layout structure as we had in the Word document, sorry. Right, so that's a kind of a styling issue, but it's done with style. So can you run the wave on it or the one of the accessibility tools? Yeah.
Wave didn't work on it.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Why does that not work? Can anybody tell me why that doesn't work?
No, it's on a local computer. It's not on the internet.
It's on a local file system. So can you run it through a local local server?
How? No, how to do that? But that point.
Well,
to go to I think HTTP localhost and all that.
Yes, if you can do that on localhost. If you have it on local, so there's a couple of easy ways how to do that. You need to have a couple, some
Jupyter notebook.
Excuse me. So just if you want to inspect the output, the easiest is in the directory you are. You just run a local server straight from there. That's how I normally do things. That's how I display my slides here. That's how I do all it. And local servers are easily started. The only prerequisite that you have to have is you have to have Python or Node installed. Now, most people have at least Python on their system. I'm not sure what the situation is with you. I mean, you could go to your command line again.
Okay.
And just type Python and return, and let's see what happens.
No, I don't think it's installed. No, the Microsoft Store got opened.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So can I have a? I know you've probably filled it in your questionnaire, but can I have a quick show of hand if who's not working with Windows? Anybody who has a Mac or Linux? I can see one hand. Two.
I have Ubuntu.
Yeah. So Linux. So for instance, on most Linux distributions, it's there out of the box. Python is most of the time is Node as well. Same thing for Macs most of the time. Now could be different these days, but last time I used the Mac actively 3 years ago, that was still the case.
So do you want somebody else to try it out?
Can anybody show what they have? And just
3 people have said Neha, Akhila, and Jared. They have said that
Jared, yes. Maybe you want to have a go.
I couldn't run Wave, but I checked the source code. Is that fine?
You can if you go to the command prompt. Oh well, there it is. Wave is running, is it? Or which page is that? No, there it is. Perfect. How did that happen?
Who is sharing?
We're very confused. How does that work? Yes, who's sharing?
Jared is sharing.
All right. Oh, thank you. And this is running out of file?
Firefox.
Wow. Right, so it works better on Firefox, clearly.
So I have a Mac and I have but that.
Okay. So why don't I just show you all how to run a quicker local server? It's very simple. Let me share. I can hear a lot of echoes. That's better. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Can you see my screen again?
Yeah.
Yes, we can see.
All right. Let me. So can you also see my command line?
Yes.
Right. So this is. Let me make it a bit larger. So this is the example, basic example. Let's just run that again. Bantalk input was the doc, and the output was the output.html, and we wanted standalone. Otherwise, we only get a snippet, right? And we wanted to say metadata title equals. Let me just switch off over the keyboard. Our first example, right? Right, now I want to surf exactly from this here. Now I have a couple of things available. One is, for instance, the standard one is just if you're running Python 2, so this is the command underneath here. You can just run it like this. It's called simple HTTP server. It is automatically, with any Python installation, it is automatically there. You give it a channel or port number, and that's what's happening now. Now I can go to my browser. I can just go to localhost. You can see what I entered at the very top, 8,000, and there it is. And now I open it up, and there it is. And now I run my Wave tool. And there it is, and it's complaining. Why is it complaining? Well, that's probably because I didn't give a language again. Yes, the missing language, but that's not too important. We know the default is always English, so that's good enough for us for the time being. But we can see all the structure that was in the original document is nicely preserved. So I get a heading document, I'll get the first example, and so on and so forth. And I'll get my subheadings. What I can also see is obviously that Pantalk tried to preserve the overall layout. So it is as preserving as possible when it comes to this thing. Let's try the other tool that I've told you about. That is make4ht, and we'll give it the input tag file. and it does conversion, and it takes a while longer, as you can see on the command line, but it eventually finishes. So why does it take longer? Because it's a text-based package, meaning that it tries to find style files, it tries to load the right articles files and decompose macros and so on and so forth, which it always does. It takes even longer when you actually have complex macros in there. And let's have a look what the output is like, though that's now called input.html. So let's copy that over. So this is the output. Not sure what this picture is, but you can see there's a lot of styling. All the styling now is effectively gone. Right? It's not as it didn't try to replicate the PDF style output as Pandoc did. Let's have a quick look whether it's also accessible. Well, it's got exactly the same things. There's a couple of things different. There's 2 alerts. Let's have a look what these are. Well, there are no regions on the page, and there's the first level heading is missing, right? So you can see, that's not quite as good in terms of accessible or usable output. So we start here with H3 and H4, and that's obviously not ideal. Now, if we compare the output of these 2 elements, this here, if we look at the actual source code, oops, there's a lot of styling, which we would like to get rid of eventually. But here's clearly there's an H1 element. There's actually multiple H1 elements, and then there's H2 elements. If we look at the output of the tech for HD, there's various H elements which are not exactly the right size. Now, this can have different reasons. One reason is because the converter does it differently. The other reason, and that's the more likely reason in that case, is because LaTeX is not necessarily very good when it comes to generating good section structures, as well as in general overall nested structured elements. And you will come across the problem primarily and particularly badly if you're trying to generate PDF that should be accessible. When you will always have problems with the header nesting structures that always have to be manually corrected. Right. So far our experiments today, and let me have a quick look whether we have a final slide. Yes, well, actually I wanted to start with all these slides today, so I don't really have a final slide for today.
Volker, can you show the input.text?
The input.text. Yes, let me get rid of that. Where's the input.text? I'll show that to you in an Emacs because that makes a bit more. Let me make that a bit larger for you. So here, that's the input.text, right? So there's a section, there's a list, and there's 2 subsections.
So this translation of the section to H3 and H4. So of course that is section and subsection, so that became H4. But the starting point being H3, where did that come from? That came from.
That is probably because what Tech for HD tries to do is it tries to translate the font size style of section into an appropriate equivalent style on the web, which is H3 actually, because as you know, because in
so this is a lookup. Basically, a section is being looked into as H3. Okay.
So if you have, I think it's slightly better if you have a report class and you use chapter headings and so on. But it's as I said, it's not, from that point of view, it is not ideal, and also.
So it's not dynamic. It's just mapping is static.
I've included one of those cats again at the bottom. So there you go. That's probably where that incorrect picture came from. Anyway, so this is pretty much where we're going to start tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to go beyond simple text. We're going to talk about STEM documents. We're going to start looking at the first translations of mathematics into our documents. What's hard and what's interesting and the good and the bad and the ugly again of how to render math on the web and therefore how to convert it with our tools. Now, if you find the time today, if you could all maybe install Pandoc locally, the latest version would be helpful. I understand some of you still have it maybe from one of the Empower sessions we had. If you can install the latest, if you can install yourself a LaTeX distribution and maybe Python or Node, so you can also run your server locally straight away. That would be helpful for exercises. And I suppose tomorrow we're going to try the breakout room scenario again. Let's see how it works then.
Yeah, so now I know that I can sort of have to remove that to I can move. So we have to still see how are you going to move you around. That is still once we open the breakout rooms, then it seems to be difficult to move people. So let me also see, can I also assign you as an organizer? Then you can also perhaps move. So let me check that.
Yes, I'll also try the login again, whether I can actually access the chat one of these days. As I said yesterday, last time I'll stick around for another 5 to 10 minutes now. And if you have any questions, please feel free to stick around as well and ask.
Akhila has some questions, please.
Yes, please, Akhila.
I see the hand raised, Akhila.
Hello?
I guess that was from the
previous.
From the previous. we don't want to force you to ask a question. No,
I wanted to ask Volker. So while selecting this Pandoc or the other software, what should be the basis? Do we have to look for the output format in which we want our output file format, or we just have to check for any other criteria for selecting the software?
All right, so we're going to go through some of these issues over the next couple of lectures because there's a number of considerations. So one thing I should say is maybe if you're talking something like Pandoc, this is what one could say the Swiss Army knife of conversion softwares. It's many to many. You can have all kinds of input formats, many input formats. Quite a large number of different output formats. So just as an example, all these examples, for instance, I did not type the LaTeX by hand. I did not type the Word by hand. I'm particularly bad with the latter. I started with Markdown documents and then just translated them with Pandoc into the various other versions. So for this, Pandoc is great. Pandoc has a number of drawbacks where then if you're coming from STEM documents, LaTeX documents, Tech for HD, because it lives in the tech environment and lives in the tech ecosystem, it's a much better choice. You have certain drawbacks. We've already seen one, which is kind of the one with a section structure, which makes it more difficult to use in terms of to generate nice WCAG compliant documents. On the other hand, it works a lot better with certain LaTeX specific environments and so on and so forth. So anyway, but there's a couple of quite a number of different issues which we will discern and which we will discuss over the next couple of lectures. Long answer, sorry about that. Jared.
Shankar has a question. Shankar.
Shankar.
Yeah. Hi, for this Pandoc to convert into a Paka accessible document, I think we may have to preserve the structures right from the word, right? Like in style or title or whatever be that. So in a Word, we should have a proper structured document. I think that will preserve the same structure in Pandoc. Is it right? Or
Yes. So that is absolutely correct. So if you're using in Word, if you're using instead of using as you do here heading style and subheading and
yeah,
so on, and you're using just colors and font sizes, you will also
yeah,
get not good output, right? Rubbish goes in, rubbish comes out. That's kind of the
right,
general
exactly.
thing. On the in LaTeX, it's much easier in many ways because using section, subsection, etc. is so much simpler in LaTeX, and everybody does it. In Word, not everybody does it. Let's face it.
Got it. Thank you.
Piyush,
Okay. So, like for the input file, when I convert it using Pandoc and I generate the output file, there was some, to an extent, there is some mapping of styles to like different heading levels. And second one was that it highlighted that the title of the document was missing. Then I tried
Yes.
doing the same thing just by opening the input.docx in Word and then saving it as HTML as a single web page. So I'm trying to understand what difference will it make if I use these two different methods of creating a HTML document.
There's a few answers to that. One is Word. Okay, Word has a reputation for generating bloated HTML. Not necessarily unusable or not necessarily inaccessible, but it can be rather bloated. Pandoc tries to be quite clean about these things. Another thing is, of course, say you have 100 Word documents you want to convert. Now you can do that with Pandoc with a single line of script. If you do that with Word, you have to open one after another and save every single one and so on and so forth. Then there's another advantage of using Pandoc is, for instance, there's a number of plugins available out there that help you with certain aspects of conversion. And which is not necessarily available for Word. When you say the conversion via scripts, you can do that. I mean, I'm not quite sure about Word. You can do it, for instance, for things like OpenOffice. If you do conversions, you can write macros and inserts. So you can do it, for instance, for a lot of documents at once. So that works. So there's all kinds of trade-offs. And of course, Pandoc, what it gives you the ability is to go from Word to LaTeX, for instance, from Word to Markdown, from Markdown to Word, and all these things. So I would never advocate only one tool. There are so many tools, and you normally choose the right tool for the task you have to do. If you only have to generate one accessible document from one large Word document, by all means, use the export function.
Okay.
If you have 20 directories with 100 documents each, don't.
but I can assure you, whatever Word generates, you would not like to look at that HTML.
Yes, as I said,
if you are not going to look at the HTML, then Word is a good source. So, but if you have to do anything by doing reverse debugging, it's horrible.
Yes, it can be very bloated. Yes.
See, I was the reason I was asking this question was because in most of the accessible content generation methods where we are talking about EPUB generation or even generating a Braille file out of a baseline document, we are using, we have started shifting towards Word as the, so what we are trying to say is you create a well formatted styled Word document, and then you can use tools like different tools for just converting them directly to EPUB or DAISY or